Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Friday Live. My name is Ashley Hay. I am the importer of Powertex for Australia and also an artist. So I am super excited to be here with you again today, and I am looking forward to sharing with you. So for those of you who are new to Powertex, or maybe you've been a long time person using Powertex, I have a little treat for you today. So I'm going to be focusing on a series of little mini workshops leading up to Christmas that perhaps you can do as a make and give as a present, which will be really, really lovely. So these little workshops are designed to be really easy to do at home in your own time, and we're going to start with a bit of rust. So for those of you who love steampunk and love a bit of rust, you are going to love this. So I am super excited to share it with you. So let's get started. I have got my little dog here in the background, our new Powertex mascot. And so if you hear a bit of snoring, that's him. Let's get started. Without any further ado, I'll go down and I'll show you the art table. So I'm planning to do this in a series of 2 weeks, and you can actually get a kit to play along if you are in Australia. So there is limited availability of the kits, so make sure you get in quickly and grab one of those. You will find the kit on the home page at the bottom in quick links, but I'll pop up a link for you there. So if you're here and you're watching, it would be really wonderful if you let me know. It's always nice to see who's here and who I am talking to. So alrighty, so this is the project essentially that I am going to show you today and next week as well. So essentially what I'm going to talk about today is getting started, a few quick tips on beginning with Powertex, because I find a lot of people that I talk to, they might have Powertex in their stash, but they're a little bit afraid to get started. So what I want to do with this is I want to debunk the myth that Powertex is difficult. It actually makes creating art really, really easy, and you just need to be organised with a few things to make it fun for you so that you can enjoy the process. So I want you to pull out your stash of stuff. And so that's what this is designed for. Of course, if you are overseas, you can just get your own bits and pieces. So you will need some sort of journal. This is just an A5 journal. It does come in the kit, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. And this is essentially how it ends up looking. So of course you can do your own thing, do your own colouring, and bring it up nicely, but you know, obviously the quality of your journal will determine, you know, how it actually looks. So you can see that with this one you can still see the spiral binding, you know, and so you could get something which is nicer and actually do something special on the cover. So I did have another journal here, but it's not at a quick grab. It's not within reach. But you know what I'm saying. If it's actually a nicer journal, you could actually do something on the cover as well. So these are quite, they're a nice little size. I love them. Nicole, welcome from Three Hearts Art Studio. Always watching. Lovely to have you here as always from Mandra in WA, and Anne from Canada. And she is saying, happy Friday, everyone. So yeah, welcome, and let's get cracking. So I'll just show you. This is what you get in the actual kit. So you get the journal, you get a bit of corrugated cardboard, and you get a chippy shape with all of these bits on it. So like I say, it is limited availability within Australia at the moment, But of course, if you do have your own stash of stuff, you might have a journal already, you might have some cogs and bits and pieces that you want to use, and then of course you can get any sort of papers that you like. So there's some beautiful papers and different things that you can create your layers with. One of my faves is definitely corrugated cardboard, or even all boxes, and tearing those up and seeing what the ribbing is like inside. That's a bit of fun. So there are so many scraps and things that you can recycle and reuse with Powertex. And one of the wonderful things is that it actually really is a universal medium, because it actually has so many applications. So it's going to harden the papers, harden the cardboards. It's also going to waterproof your papers and cardboards depending on which Powertex you use, but it will at least make it weather resistant or water resistant, even if you're not using the waterproof ones. So this is how we're starting. Let's get cracking. Let's go down to the art table. And if you want to play along, make sure you grab one of those kits. I'll put the link in the chat, and so that you can easily find it and get one if you're in Australia and play along. So of course you will need some Powertex as well. So in the small kit in Australia at the moment, it is you know, you can actually choose to get the journal kit only. You can get a 500 gram Powertex, or you can actually get a 1 kilogram Powertex in the kit. So at the moment for those with the small Powertex, it's $40. So great value. So you might want some other bits and pieces as well while you're there. Alrighty, so let's zoom on down, and I will go to here. And I'm going to get cracking with our, sorry, I forgot to adjust my lights this morning. I meant to do that before I came on, but I think that looks all right. And Kat, lovely to see you all the way from Canada as well. So wonderful that you're here. So this one is actually finished. So I have some favorite colors that I love for faux rust effects. So I will talk more about the coloring and things next week. When I am actually on with you and we're talking colours. So today I just really want to get you started. And as I say, if you would like one of those kits, grab one quickly while stocks last. So this is the link to play along with for the journal kit. So and also there is a colour kit add-on, which I will show you a bit later on, but that is the link. So if you want that link, I will pop that in the comments for you as well. Okay, so let's just do that quickly. Sorry guys, this is the link for the Rusty Journal Kit. Here it is in the comments. So there you go. For anyone who does want to find that, you can easily find that now. Alrighty, let's get started. So you've got your kit, or you've got your bits and pieces that you've organised at home. You've got your art journal. You've got your a couple of bits and pieces. So you've got your chippy shapes, and you've got some corrugated cardboard to work with, and then probably some other bits of bling and some other bits, exciting little bits and pieces. So the first tip that I have for you is what is really good to do, and you can see I've already done it here, is to actually cover the inside of the journal with some plastic wrap. So I have taken some plastic wrap and some tape, and I have just done that. Now, there is still a chance that Powertex will get on some of these pages, so I just need to be a little bit careful when I am doing this part of the actual cardboard. So that is the first thing I've done. Top tip, absolutely gold. Thank you to Renee Warwick from Renoir's Funky Designs for that tip. She was she was the person that sort of said to me, oh, why don't we pop some Glad wrap on it, and then that will mean that we don't get it all over our journal. Okay, so that's the first thing. So definitely do that. The other thing is that we want to actually give this a coat of Powertex, and when we are working, the real trick is with your layers is to actually embellish and do the colouring underneath before you add your final layers of cogs and special bits onto. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to actually create the background, and we're going to create the cogs so that next week we can colour them and then add the cogs on to the coloured elements and colour the cogs separately. So again, that is a really good tip. Otherwise, you're trying to get in underneath and you can't actually get in to colour it properly anymore. So definitely worth watching. Alrighty, so I need a bit of Powertex, which of course is why I've included that in the kit. This has been stirred really well. So for those of you who haven't used Powertex before, one of the first things that you need to do when you get your product is actually give it a really, really thorough stir, put the lid back on it, and then give it a good shake so that everything feels even throughout. So you'll know when it feels right, because it will feel all nice and even when you give it a good stir. Okay, I'm just going to make sure if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. And of course, this is an excellent little project to do as just a starter thing. So you can wear gloves. Because we're just painting at this stage, I'm not really dipping anything or getting anything too messy. And so I'm going to put a bit of Powertex out. Now, that seems a little bit thin. This is a new one. Maybe I haven't actually stirred it properly, but I thought I had. Anyway, it's all good. It is what it is. And I can always do another coat if I need to give it another stir. Okay, so I get my brush. I don't want to put the Powertex, dip my brush right into the Powertex, because if you get Powertex underneath the metal here, like you can see has happened on this brush, this is one of my workshop brushes. And so people tend to leave the brush in the Powertex. But what happens is you can't clean the brush properly, so the Powertex gets in underneath the bezel there. So you're better to just put it on the tips of your fibres if you want to look after your brushes. The other thing that you can do is to actually make it easier to wash, is to wet your paintbrush first and then dry it off and then use your Powertex. So you don't want to be watering that Powertex down at all. We're going to splash that onto this front cover. So you can see you don't have to be too careful at all. I am going to be a little bit more frugal in around these bits here. I don't actually have to paint those, but I quite like to do that. I just have to make sure it doesn't stick underneath, and I can always put another little bit of Glad wrap in while it's drying. Okay, now what you will find is, especially with your journals where they're very thin cardboard like this one is, see how that is already warping? So what you want to do is give it a coat, and then I'm going to give you another tip which will help to keep it flattened out. But for now, we're just going to let it do its thing and warp. And of course, once it is dry, through the week, once it's touch dry, I can also put a bit of weight on it and flatten it down as well. Love me a bit of painting. Now, the wonderful thing with the Powertex, like I said before, is it acts like a paint, it acts like a glue, and it also hardens and stiffens any porous surfaces. So it works really wonderfully with papers. So if you guys are paper crafters and you're looking to extend your sort of artwork into something, then Powertex is actually really perfect for working with all your paper craft supplies. So you just, instead of using a gesso to start, you use your Powertex to start, and it's actually going to give you greater longevity with all your projects. And it is going to, you can see already, if I do this a little bit thicker and randomize those marks, I'm actually getting a little bit of texture on there, just even from the Powertex itself. So that's good to go. I'm popping my brush in some water here. So that is very important. Don't just leave your brushes out. Obviously, they are porous, so they're going to soak up the Powertex nicely, and that will mean that you losing my train of thought today. Yeah, they'll harden. Okay, so keep them in water. That's basically what I was trying to say. So Nicole's just saying this journal kit is one of the first kits that she bought from me. It's a beautiful project and still one of her samples for her steampunk and rust effects art workshops, and everyone loves it. So, so true. It is a lot of fun, and so we'll go from there. Okay, so I can put that aside now. I'll just put it here, and actually I won't put it there, I'll put it up there. And then what I need is, I have actually pre-wrapped one of these mats that I quite like to work on. Just for those of you who don't know, these mats are really gold. They're basically cutting mats that you get from the cheap shop, and they're thin, easy to use, and just so great for in the studio with your Powertex. So I've basically taken some plastic wrap again. I've wrapped the mat. I haven't stuck it or anything. It's just loose on the other side, so it's just big enough that it actually crosses over like that, and we have that good to go. All right. Okay, so now that I've got that, I want to take my little chippy shapes, and I have a little pointy thing here. So I'm just going to press these chippy shapes out. And I'm just checking to make sure that all the bits are out of there. And there's these little button shapes in this one that are kind of cute as well. They might make a nice little sort of element. So there's like little screws. So using the kebab stick just means that you're not trying to push it out with your fingers, and it means that they don't break as much. So where they're pinned onto the outward shape, it just takes them off a lot more easily. And I know all you paper crafters would be much better at doing this than me. So just take all of those out. This one, you just have to be a little bit careful with, and like I say, that's where actually, having something that you're using. Just going to take this one out. So you can see that this one is a lot more fragile, and You can see it's a lot more fragile. Sorry, had a bit of an interruption there. Okay. Now, what you're looking for is when you've got things like this, I don't know if you can see it very well, but I think you can. There's like a little bit of a shape in there that shouldn't be in there, and that's where just punching it out like so gets rid of that. So now I've got all my little bits out. Now what I can do is I want to paint them with my Powertex so that they're ready to colour next week as a layer. So I'm just going to get my brush and my dry cloth here. It's actually damp. And we're going to take the Powertex and we're just going to paint each one of these. So I'm only going to do one side at a time, simply because it's less messy. I can do it like this on the mat if I want to, but if I do that, what is important is to move it to a clean space so that it's not drying where I have actually done it on the mat, because if I leave it on the mat where I've painted it, so let's say I leave it there, all this Powertex that is in the background actually dries as part of the shape. So we don't want that. We want to have the shape as the shape, and so we will move it to a clean area. It doesn't matter if I get a little bit on the back, so I can just lay it down flat in that messy spot. But as I said before, it's also going to act as a glue. So if we actually leave it there, all of those bits are going to come in. And the other thing is that as I do it, as this background bit dries, you might find your cardboard sticks a little bit to it. So if that happens, you just move it to a new area on your mat. But you can see how fantastic it is to work with that plastic mat. The great thing about putting the plastic onto here is once I've painted these and it gets really, really messy, I can just take that plastic wrap off and I don't have to worry about anything. So I'm giving it a good coat of Powertex so it gets on the sides as well, because I want it to go everywhere on there. I want it to have a full coat of Powertex. So as I'm laying it down, I'm, really getting into all of those little grooves and grommets and stuff. And then we can move that there. So you can see it's quite fast. It doesn't take long to do, and it's a lot of fun. So just putting that little hole back in there. These little bitty bits. Now, the reason I like to do one side and let it dry is, as I've said, I like to get it so that you don't have those bits sort of drying in between. So I'm just moving these, making sure that they haven't got any bits behind them so that they can really dry off without any scabby bits. Okay, so that's it. That's one side done. And then what I would do is just allow that to touch dry. It's not actually going to take that long to touch dry. Then I would flip it over, follow the same process. So I wouldn't paint it in a messy area when I'm turning them over. I would be painting it in a clean area and then moving it to a clean spot on the mat to avoid, like I say, getting those little taggy bits that aren't very nice. So once I have all of those bits, they're all the elements that I'm going to put on last. So if we take a look at the journal, all of these final elements, you can see that they are those cogs that I was just painting up. So you can see there's the axles and the coggy bits and the clock and the explore tab, and there's those three little screw bits there. So what I want to do next is I want to put this background layer down where it's got the cardboard. And so what that's going to do is it's going to create all the texture in the background. And then next week we'll colour up the background, colour up the cogs, and add the cogs to the background so that we're not over painting the cogs onto our background. So it just gives you a really nice finish. I can always touch up this with a bit more colour if I want to. This one is actually finished with bronze gold, so you can see it's a bit more subtle. When I'm doing my rust effects, I prefer the rich gold. I just think it pops the colour. It's more of a yellow gold. This one's just a little bit dusty. It could do with a bit of a wipe over. And that is the great thing about the Powertex is, you know, if your bits and pieces do get a bit rusty, you can just get a damp cloth and just give it a wipe over and it will bring up everything nicely. So you can see that, you know, even that quick wipe over, look how lovely that actually looks. So you can see the difference there between the two. This one has the bronze gold finish. This one has the rich gold. And just while I am talking about the colours, there is a colour kit, which is an add-on. So you actually get 6 colours and you get the easy varnish in the small 100 grams. This is a great add-on. It's a great start to your colour kits. The colours it's got is it's actually got that rich gold in the pack, and then it's got all my favourite colours for creating faux rust effects. So I love using the light blue and I love the turquoise. The turquoise does need to be lightened, so does the light blue with a little bit of titanium white, so that's in there for you. And then there is also mocha and red ochre in there. So it's a fantastic add-on to that journal kit. So if you want both of those, then you can check out the link for that one as well. And I'll just pop that in the chat for you. So let's just grab that. And this is the link to the Rusty Colour kit. So I'll pop that in the chat for you. All right now. So for those of you who are keen to get the colour kit and the journal pack, if you're in Australia, then they are the colours that I will be using next week to work on the finished piece itself. Of course, if you've got colours or you've already you've got a whole stash of other colours, it's quite nice to add a green into that as well, which will give you that sort of aged copper sort of effect. And I'm sure many of you have a huge stash of colours. So that is the colour kit though, and that is really good value. Okay, so you can see that as this is drying, it is actually, so I've got a little bit of Powertex on here, but you can see that it is already actually pressing flat as it has dried. Now, I'm going to give you another top tip here. So who's ready for it? Because this one is gold. So what you will find, and this is a really good trick for any works that you're doing on cardboard or papers, if you get some Powertex or the paint that you're using, you can actually put a cross through the middle of it on the back side, obviously. And what this does, it just pulls it flatter. So because it's pulling in from the corners, it kind of pulls it in. So there you go. That's my probably top tip of the day. You will find that as that dries, it will dry flatter. And then, as I said, I can actually close that up and actually put some weight on it. Now, of course, the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to be adding some corrugated cardboard onto the piece on the front. So I can actually distress the cardboard, which I actually love to do. Takes a little bit of patience, but it is so worth it. Doing really well today. This kebab stick's a bit big, really. Just a standard kebab stick is really good. You can poke it in there really easily and get some really nice distressing on that cardboard. Just going to do this quickly, but you can play with this for ages, and you can find bigger, different textures with different papers. So feel free to play and find what you can find. But this is how I have done. I'll show you on the journal. Okay, so let's just do something like that. This is all right. So I can then add that on as an element, and I would just stick it on with the Powertex. So I'll do that right now. But if we take a look, see this one here? See how that's got a fold in it and it's over like that? That is what I've done here. So folding it over itself, and then you get this sort of texture here is this, and then this texture here is this ripped paper section. So you can see the same thing here. So those bits here, that this is how I've done it. Okay, so let's just take that. And it is actually better to be working on a glad wrapped mat, because then I don't have to wash my mats down so much. Just going to move these bits out of the way. So I've got a little bit of room here. Now, if you love this and you love rust effects and you want to do a bigger course with me, I have actually got a rust effects online workshop that you can join, and it is really good value. There it is full descriptions of everything, and it is a little bit more comprehensive. I'll just put up a bit of an image for you and show you. So this is the rust effects workshop that I actually do. So you can see there's a lot more to it. I go into full description of how to actually complete that project, which is on the circular piece. So that is actually done on a piece of styrofoam, but you could actually work on a canvas if you preferred. The one on the top left-hand side is actually on a square surface on a canvas. So, or you can use a substrate. Substrates are great. So like the cradle boards, because you can actually press into them a bit more. So if you've loved this little project today, this is a fantastic direction to take your learning in, and you'll just learn heaps more on that online course. So if you would like to join me for that, I would love to have you join me. Okay, but in the meantime, you can just have a play with this. So wherever I want to add a piece of card or whatever, I can just pop some Powertex down and I can then add that on. Now, the thing that you need to know is that the Powertex isn't going to give you an instant stick. So it will stick really, really well, but it's not going to stick like a hot glue gun straight away. So it's going to just take a little bit more time. And you can see I'm joining wet to wet. And so that's what you want to do. And I'm just going to pop it here in this bottom corner. And then the pressure painting the top section actually joins that onto the piece a little bit more. So I want to paint all of the cardboard with the Powertex. Just move it up so you can see a bit better. And then I can pop that on there. Now, while that is painted on that side, I want to open it up, otherwise it's going to stick down to this other surface here. And I'm just going to paint this side as well, where I want it to open. Now, I know some of the trainers run workshops with art journaling as well. So if you are someone that doesn't want to, work on your own at home, you can actually join a trainer near you to do a workshop where you get together with like-minded people and do something simple like this as a starter project for your Powertex. Of course, we have wonderful full-day workshops, but I do know that some of the trainers run this as like a little mini project that you can actually join. So you can see now that is a start. If I don't want this to stick to here, I can just put a little bit of Glad wrap in under it. If I want it to have dimension, then I can put, some plastic wrap under it. I'm quite liking the dimension that it's got, so I'm not going to do too much fiddling around with that. But even once it's dry, I can still manipulate that a little bit. And you can see that where I've got edges here, you can see that it's edgy. So as I'm doing the rest of it, I want to make sure that when I'm joining other bits onto here, I'm actually making sure that the texture flows onto the rest of the piece as well, so that you don't have a shape around the piece that you've actually stuck on there. So it is all covered. It's just a bit of sheen that is actually on here. So if you do see any cardboard bits that haven't been covered, you would just go back into that. But you can see how that journal is already sitting a lot flatter now. And part of that is because it has this cross on the back. So what you will do is, if you wish to join me to play, then you will, hang on, pop me over here. So if you wish to join me to play, then you will just need some bits and pieces. You'll need your Powertex and play along this week with doing a journal cover. Do try a rusty one. You might have different words like laugh, live, love, something like that, or a different message that you want to include. Steampunk is really quite cool, so who doesn't love a bit of rust and steampunk? So this project is a lot of fun, so I hope you enjoy it, and do grab a kit and play along with me. And then, as I say, through the week, what you will do is finish your backgrounds. You could even use some of this scrap to actually create other textures in the background as well. That works quite neatly too. And you can get some beautiful ribbed paper, which I love, which I'll show you next week. I might put some of that on my piece. So I'm going to finish the background through the week. And then next week, I'm going to show you how to colour up your piece. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Please let me know in the comments whether this has been valuable for you. I would love your feedback. And of course, my hope is that today I have inspired you to a bit of arty creativity for the weekend, and that you are excited to be creating. So I don't think I've gotten anything. Oh, maybe I'll just quickly pop the link into the chat for you for the Rust Effects online course. So if you do want to join me for that course, like I say, it is very comprehensive. The filming is edited, and you can just sit and watch it. It is lifetime access, so you have full access to that for as long as the lifetime of my business. So yes, good news, lots of happy play. And Nicole's just saying, thanks, that was a fun live. And Kat's just saying, thanks, fun as always. So thank you for joining me. And I look forward to seeing you again next week to finish off the colouring. Grab one of those kits and play along. As I say, within Australia, there is limited availability of them. So, but I'm sure you've also got some stuff in your stash. Make sure that you share what you've done on the Powertex Australia Creative Hub. So I'll just pop that up. So create what we've been doing, connect and share and join with us on the Creative Hub. It's a great group. And if you want to watch it again, the easiest way to watch this is on the YouTube channel. And if you subscribe on the YouTube channel and ring that bell, you'll actually get notifications that I'm going live, which is a great little reminder for you. So next week, of course, I'm doing Rusty Journal Part 2, looking at colours. And I am super excited to have you join me for that. So everyone, have a wonderful creative weekend, and I will see you next week. Ciao for now. Have fun creating. Bye.